So this is my mum right at the front and her twin sister and best friend, taken in the late 60s approximately. They went to the beach in winter, I think it was either Boxing Day or the 1st of January, and there was a journalist on the beach who took a photo of them and it was published in the local paper. I think they look awesome with their 60s cute hair and everything, and so happy and so carefree. Now my mum has actually moved back to the town where this beach is. She moved there 3 years ago, and she's a very different person to this one, but at the same time she is still the same person. So here I am going to talk about my mum and her transition to becoming older and how she's dealing with aging. Hi and welcome back to my channel. My name's Georgia. I have my tea. I have a glass cup today because all our mugs are in the dishwasher. And it tastes quite nice from glass. I quite like these. I normally use these for overnight oats because I have a lid as well, but I quite like as tea. Anyway, welcome or welcome back. I am a 49-year-old British person who lives abroad, and I'm navigating life as a mother, young children, full-time working mother, husband, cat, and being an expat, and sometimes struggling, sometimes loving it. It's all swings and roundabouts, really. People my age are known as a sandwich generation. This mostly affects Generation Xers, which are those born between mid-1960s to early 1980s. I was born in 1975, so I'm slap bang in the middle. Now, sandwich generation is those who have aging parents and quite often younger children because we chose to have children later. I didn't have my eldest till I was 39, I was almost 40 actually, and my second then almost 3 years later. So now I'm 49 and I have an almost 10-year-old and a 6-year-old, and I'm quite tired. But top that, having younger kids while you're older, we also have aging parents that we need to look after, our boomer parents, who are unfortunately getting older and more dependent on us. Now, I have a unique extra challenge on top of this, which is the fact that I live abroad, that I live in Germany and my mum is in the UK. I do have a sister who also lives in Germany in a different city, and my brother lives in the UK about 3 hours away from her, but he is a musician and doesn't have that much time, but at least he can get to her within 3 hours if something happens. Now, my dad died for 2020, 4.5 years ago. At the beginning of the first lockdown, March 2020, my parents were divorced. They had been divorced for over 30 years, but they had this little codependent relationship towards the end. My dad needed a bit of help. My mum was there to help him, and it worked out really well. And she used to come to visit us with him because he couldn't really travel alone. She'd help book his flights. They'd meet up at least once or twice a week to go to the pub, and it was nice. It was nice, except they argued all the time, like when they were married. But there was a love with this dependency, and it worked quite well until my dad suddenly passed away overnight, basically, which was a bit shocking to all of us. So now we're in this unique situation where we're having to manage my mum living alone from abroad. She moved into a flat 3 years ago. She downsized from a house and she moved to a flat by the seaside where she used to live when she first got married, also very close to where she grew up, so it was her hood. And she decided she wanted to live there, so we helped, well, my brother actually helped find a place, sorted her house out, put it on the market, did basically everything. The issue now is that my mum went from a larger place to a smaller place, and she does like her stuff. This is quite typical of the boomer generation because they grew up post-war in rationing. They were pretty poor, my parents. My mum only had one pair of shoes, which were her school shoes, and my granddad used to have to fix them if they broke. Her best Sunday clothes was her school uniform. She had a twin and an older sister, or has a twin. She lives in the States, and you know, they struggled, so everything that came in had to be kept. Before consumerism took over, this is what the generation was like. They bought things, they kept them, they passed them on generations. Everything was better quality. This is a fact. You know, we call it China-Schrott, which is rubbish made in China, because a lot of stuff we buy is rubbish made in China, unfortunately. You know, even when you go for the better quality stuff, quite often it's still made in China. Anyway, I digress, this is irrelevant. My mum, like many people, my dad was a little bit like it, but
not as bad as my mum. She likes to keep everything. She's verging on being a hoarder. I wouldn't say quite too bad yet, but basically her place is covered in stuff. Her bed had clothes all over it, folded neatly in little piles. Everything's neat, but there is nowhere to sit. But I had to be very careful because navigating her sensibilities is also an issue. She doesn't want us taking over. So she doesn't do much, but also doesn't want us to do anything for her. So we have to be very sensitive because she is getting older and she's getting more vulnerable as well. Now, my mum really used to be a social butterfly. Up until about 5 years ago, she was playing tennis every week, singing in at least one choir a week, would go to the pub, would just she had neighbours she'd see, friends. She was incredible. She is incredible. I mean, my mum is a social butterfly. She loves going out, she loves seeing people. She was always on her phone, always texting people, and even when she first moved to where she lives now, she had a boyfriend sort of on off who she would see every so often, who she met on a train. Also random. I think when she was going to France or something, he got on the train and he got on the wrong train, but they're sort of in touch still, but that's okay. You know, having contact is fine. The problem is she's become very isolated since moving there. Now, trying to navigate this from abroad is really, really hard. And as she's getting older, she's getting more forgetful, she's getting much more vulnerable, and it's tough. It's tough as a child to see this happen. I last saw her last August, and then again this last week. I went to London for 2 days and then to the seaside where she lives with my sister, like I said, because it's good to do things together where possible. Now, as we got in, like I said, her flat was full of stuff. We stayed in a little hotel close by because there's just literally nowhere to sleep. It's just a little one-bedroom flat that she shares with her cat. And the issue is she has a lot of my dad's things still that she holds on to. Even though they were divorced for so long, she did keep a lot of things that they got when they were married. For example, some paintings, a lot of his books, just stacked high in bookshelves, paintings leaning against the wall. They're not even put up. Unless we do it, nothing will get done. And we're more busy sort of doing the washing up and sorting out things while we're there. So it's hard because she's reduced things in size. She kept all my brother's toys. She's got a shed full of his Playmobil toys, his train track. I mean, my brother's 44. You know, he's got no interest for it. He has a daughter. He doesn't want it, but she's kept it just in case. It's that just in case thing. You know, I'd love to bring back the Playmobil pirate ship for my kids or the Playmobil castle. I can't fit it in my suitcase. I can't even get in the shed because when I opened it, there was like spiders, kind of stringy spider's web. And also the garden's overgrown. Just to get to it was quite tough. And I just don't want to venture in there with all the little spiders. Plus my suitcase was yay high and I couldn't. I had tea bags and chocolate. So that will have to wait till maybe we drive over at some point. Now, clutter aside, where are we talking about little bits of paper she scribbles on, let's say, notes she writes down. Most of the stuff that she has out is memorabilia. She has cards, birthday cards she's received, Christmas cards, Valentine's Day cards. She has them all out still. She's got my grandmother's wedding present, which is 2 beautiful pictures just on the floor leaning against the wall. She even has a card my grandparents received when her and her sister were born, her twin sister, saying congratulations on the birth of your twins, like 70 odd years ago. So she must have somehow got a box of my grandmother's things at some point. She died many years ago, but they did clear out her house before she moved into sheltered housing. But maybe she's always had these things, but just didn't have access to them because they were in the loft or somewhere under the stairs, I don't know. The issue is she has too much stuff she wants to keep. Now, I'd love to throw all her things out, but to her they're special, so we have to, again, be very sensitive. She does get sensitive and accuses us of taking over, which sometimes we are, but out of necessity. You know, we need to make sure that she's safe, that the place is clean, that it's accessible. She only had 1 key that worked, so we changed the locks, for example. We now each have a key. I had to climb in the window when the locksmith was there because she couldn't find her 1 key. Any copies we made just wouldn't work on this ancient lock. So I'm there climbing in through this tilty window that opens outwards, through the cobwebs, and this is just ridiculous, you know. I mean, I'm not 15, but I am fit enough to do it. But that's not the point. The point is she shouldn't be in a situation where she's the only one who has a key. For support, like I said, my brother is close by and she has 2 old school friends who live about 20 minutes drive away, still in the area, and they check on her quite often, especially one of them. And she will text all 3 of us, or me and my sister, give us an update, and that's really great. Now, we can't rely on them because she is also the same age, getting older and has her own life to get on with, but at least she's there, and they generally like seeing each other and they go out for lunch or for coffee or something. So this way my mum does get out, but when she's on her own she doesn't go out. She says she does, but I don't think she does. She lives 200 meters from the beach. It's just insanely lovely. She lives in a beautiful area, but because she didn't move there with friends existing, she's found it really hard to go out. Now, there are some social clubs that we've found for her, but she has to make the first move, and she just hasn't. She can't even contact the bank about her card when she needs a new card. There was some issue with it. She had to get it replaced, and she couldn't make the phone call. She couldn't go there in person. She needs the moral support. She really needs the support network. How do we do this? The problem is, how does one do this? We live abroad, we have young kids, we have jobs. I can't flip back all the time. Once a year, maybe twice a year max, but then that's also by holiday. So it's hard, you know. We want to see our parents, we want to be there for them, we want to look after them. I need to also be here for my family. I left my husband with kids for 4 nights. Here I am, I have the guilt of leaving my family. I have the guilt of not being there for my mum. I feel guilty about everything. I feel guilty about not doing work properly if I'm trying to focus on something else in work time. It's the constant guilt about everything. This is the sandwich generation. Like, nothing is good enough. Nothing you do you can dedicate 100% to, because you're constantly worrying about everything else. So what did we do when we were there? Well, my sister ordered a wardrobe, which we built together, and we washed all her clothes, we sorted them out. A lot of clothes don't even fit her anymore, so we donated 3 bags to charity shops, and she was there with us as we walked up. She saw the donation. For someone who doesn't want to get rid of stuff, she was happy to let them go. She tried them on, she went, nope, doesn't fit, I'm good. And we encouraged her. I need to be careful because I switch into kind of stroppy teenage mode sometimes, and I get quite angry, so I have to really contain this anger because I know she's struggling. So if you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all, and it was okay, mostly. So we donated clothes, the rest we washed, we hung them all in the wardrobe, folded them. It made the room smell nice. It made everything accessible to her. It was great. We will move some furniture maybe next time, but all with her permission, all slowly. Everything has to be done slowly. She wasn't really helping, but this is the way, as long as she doesn't get in the way. We have to consult her about every single thing, because obviously she thinks that we're taking over, and she's been so independent her entire life. Suddenly having her 2 kids come in and say, hey, let's do this, and moving things is, I get it. I wouldn't want that to happen. So there's this transition that you need to really manage carefully. But because we only had 48 hours, it was hard. Well, I was there for 48 hours. My sister stayed a couple of extra days. You know, I just want to get stuff done. I just want to get down. I'm on the floor, I'm scrubbing the floors, I'm washing the front door down. You just want to get it done, but you also want to spend time with her. It's hard, it's really hard. So in the evenings, we'd go out for a meal and we'd walk along the promenade, and she just lit up. I mean, she just came alive, going, oh, it is lovely here, I love living here. And internally I'm like, well, then why don't you go out? But she can't bring herself to go out much. She does sometimes, I know she does, but not daily. So we need to work on that. Building a community for her is definitely something we need to do. I think someone needs to go with her to the first meeting. She did join a choir and they would pick her up, so I'm not sure what happened to that, but we slowly need to get her back in, because she's back to old mum when she's out. When she's socialising, it's like the mum from 10 years ago. So she's still there, but she's just become very introvert and very afraid, you know, and it's really sad to see, and frail and little and just smaller. She's just smaller than she used to be. She used to be taller than me and strong, and she played tennis every week, and she used to go for a run. She did 10k races in her 60s, and you know, and she proudly wear those t-shirts. It's so sweet. She has all these 10K finisher t-shirts and she wanted to keep them all because she's achieved that, and why not? You know, I fully support that. So yeah, so we walked along the pier and had a drink of wine, a glass of wine, had a beer somewhere, walked past the amusements, talked about when we came over 2 years ago with the kids and how fun it was in the amusements, the arcades, putting the 2-penny machines in where you try and push, they pile up and push out, and you end up putting £10 in, you get like a little tube of slime, right? And the kids were thrilled. It's all about having fun. And she remembered that, and it was great. So we try and relive those memories and try and make life easier for her. My sister does often order her food, online deliveries from a local supermarket, which is one way we know she's okay because she's eating properly. She did lose her phone about 6 weeks ago, somewhere in the flat, we think, and we still haven't found it yet. It could be anywhere. So we need to sort out a new phone anyway. So that's my brother's job. And then once she has that, we can contact her again, and we've sorted out a landline for her now, which hopefully will be connected in the next few days. So at least we can call her. A phone that's always connected, doesn't run out, doesn't accidentally get put on airplane mode. 2 years ago I called the police because I couldn't contact her for a week. And they went round and she went, "Oh, I'm sorry, it was on airplane mode for a week, how silly." And I'm just at work, just, "Oh my God, Mum, don't do this." But she just doesn't realise that we're worrying about her, which is a good thing, but not for me and my nerves. So how can we support her from afar, and how can we make life easier for her? Now, saying this again, once she has a phone, or even both phones again, we can call her. I can call her more often. I put it off because it's so emotionally draining, and then when I do call her, we often speak for an hour, then I'm even more emotionally drained because she's just reminiscing and talking, and I'm just there going, I have to go, I'm at work, or I need to cook for the kids, and then I'm pushing her to go. So I think little and often is better. Letters, especially if we can't contact her, because she loves obviously having these things, or cards. She has all the cards she receives. So written communication is good. I did send her my daughter's school photo recently, which my sister found a couple of days ago and stuck it on the pinboard. I hadn't seen it. I wasn't even sure whether I'd sent it because I couldn't see it, but it was there, so that's great. So those little things, constant contact is good. Phone, post, all that. Making sure her friends check in on her, making sure my brother goes there regularly, staggering our visits maybe is a good thing. I've also started sending her pictures from the kids, not just photos, but things they've drawn. They don't really know who she is because she's not really in touch. When we video called, she wasn't always that engaging with them. It's kind of difficult. Same with my niece. It's just, she's a little bit distant. She's older people, boomers, you know, they're not all fun and games. But she means well, and she's got a good heart, and she cares very deeply for her family. I know she does. So what we're also going to do is get 2 big photo albums, and next time I'm over, we can do a project together where we sort all her favourite photos into the albums and all her favourite cards that are out. I mean, her table in the living room, her coffee table, all covered in stuff. Paper and post, and mostly memorabilia, mostly photos. My grandmother's wedding photo, my great-grandparents' wedding photo, really old photos, my wedding photo even, just scattered around. And I spilt some tea on them at one point because I was trying to find a space and it was not good. So I think having them all in one place means that also they can be there but accessible. I'm going to get her a photo album, a digital one that we can access from through an app, so I can add more photos to it, so the pictures will constantly change. I think that would be a really great way to stay in touch with her. Maybe I could even write little documents and upload them as a picture and go, "Hi Mom, call me. Is your phone on airplane mode?" That kind of thing. But I think that is important in any way to get in contact with her, but also just to get her to contact us and see that there is a world outside her flat. That's important. Now for last year, she was alone for Christmas, so I managed to look into the Salvation Army locally who actually had a Christmas dinner lunch, and they went round in a minibus and picked up people who were alone. So they picked her up and they took her there to the church. I think they had a 1 hour thing because it is the Sally Army after all. I don't think she minded that. I would have done, but my mum is better than that. Better than me at that. And then a Christmas lunch, and then an afternoon of just social activities with like-minded people. Now, the town where she lives in is actually a retirement town. It's almost like the Florida of the UK. It's one of the little retirement towns on the coast of the UK. And, you know, she used to live there, and also it is where older people go. So we thought it'd be a really great place for her to meet people of her same age and retired people. Was not to be at the moment, but hopefully that will change. So we need to help her make these friends. We need to help go with her if someone's there. Maybe my brother can do it. Being a musician means he is free during the week sometimes, so he can maybe take a Wednesday or Thursday when there's an activity and drive her there. It's not easy navigating her emotions along with our emotions. And as I said, it was very rushed from my perspective. I couldn't stay any longer. I had to get back to work. I had to get back to my family. If I could spend a week there, I would have got so much done, but it was rushed. So I had to navigate her emotions and managing all these heavy emotions and the memorabilia, along with trying to sort it and make it as nicer and neater place. And because she was always so independent, it's hard for her to move on from that. She still has a car, but she doesn't use it. I don't think she's used it for a long time. I don't think she can really drive anymore, but she doesn't want to get rid of it because in her heart, she still has someone who drives. She's been driving since she was 17. So this is a huge part of her independence. So we need to respect that. We need to respect the fact she wants to keep her car. We need to respect that she is living on her own and she can look after herself, except maybe she can't. So we have to monitor that situation. And it's hard. It's hard from abroad when she's not really in touch, when she's not really giving us feedback. We visit her and go, oh my goodness, this is not good. But she's, I think, improving. She's improving since she's been eating better, since my sister's been sending her food through the supermarket. We're also going to get her Meals on Wheels, which is a hot food delivery service. My grandmother had it as well many years ago. She's agreed to it maybe 3 times a week. So not only will she have a hot meal 3 times a week, but even human contact. Even if it's just someone delivering the food to her, she will have this human contact on an almost daily basis, which I think is important. So yeah, it was a little bit of an exhausting and emotionally draining week. I will do another video on my trip there because I also had a great time. You know, the emotions were hard, but the time in London was great. The theatre was great. Seeing my brother's ex and our 2 cousins, the kids' 2 cousins, and it was just lovely. And even the seaside and seeing my mum and the cat, it was sweet. Just a bit heavy. But I'll do that in a couple of weeks, and then I'll have some nice footage from London, which was so cool, because London is so cool, and the seaside is so cool. I just love it, just the sea, just the open sea. So yes, I have to, as per usual, go and get the kids from school, and I shall try and put this up on Friday. So thank you for watching. Sorry about the slightly heavy topic this week, but it's an important one. It's an important topic, and many people are affected. Even if your parents live next door to you, and you have kids, you're still a sandwich generation. You're still managing parents, children. Even if you don't have children, you still have to manage older parents. And if you're abroad, it's a whole extra level of stress and inability to manage sometimes. So thank you, and hopefully see you next. Oh, and if you like this video, maybe give it a little like. And if you really like this video, then maybe subscribe, because that would be great. Thank you. Okay, bye. Cheerio.